Okay, thank you. Okay, so we will start from relative clause. Okay, so there are two types of relative clauses: defining relative clauses and no defining relative clauses. And what's the difference between the two? All right, so relative clauses generally give us information about the person or the thing mentioned. For example, I say, the boy who was playing is my brother. So here I'm giving information about the boy. But this information here are essential, okay, to the understanding of the sentence. So it is defining relative clauses. We cannot omit who was playing because, okay, I'm gonna add, because the sentence will not be okay, just a second. I will go. Will not be meaningful if you omit who is playing. Will not be meaningful to the people to the one who is listening. Okay, so defining relative clauses. Defining relative clauses give us essential information that tells us who or what we are talking about. Okay, like this sentence here. Just a second, sorry. Just a second, there are a few people who would like to come. So generally, a relative clause contains relative pronouns like who, which, and that, and the relative adverbs like where and when. Okay, so for example here, just a second, for defining relative clauses, we said that the information after who or that or which, introduced after which or that, etc., are essential. We cannot omit them because the sentence will be meaningless. For example here, the boy who was playing is my brother. It is said a clause of this kind, which means defining a relative clause, is essential to clear understanding of the noun. Because here, if we omit who was playing, we will not understand who is this boy. Okay? That is my brother. All right. So here we have, for people, we use who and that to introduce the subject. For object, we say whom, who, and that. Possessive, whose. For things, we use which, that. Okay, for the object, the same thing. And whose or of which for possessive. Okay, we are still dealing with defining relative clause. Okay, so here, who is normally used, for example here, the man who rubbed. Listen, when there is a verb after who or the relative pronoun, the who is a relative pronoun. When there is a verb after the relative pronoun, which means that it refers to the subject, which is the man who rubbed. So he is the one performing the action. Okay, so it refers to the subject. The man who rubbed you has been arrested. And then the girls who serve. Here you have serve, which is a verb also. So it refers to the subject. Okay, the girls who serve in the shop are the owner's daughters. And then everyone who that watches the match will never forget it. Okay, so here, since there is a verb after who and that, which means that they refer to the subject. Here we see for the object, and they are still essential information about the subject. We cannot omit who served, for example. Okay, and then here we have object. For the object, we say, for example, she loves the chocolate which or that I bought. Here, if you notice here, there is I after that or which, because we can use that or which. Both are correct. So there is here a subject after that. So there is a pronoun, sorry. So there is personal pronoun. So it doesn't refer to the subject, but to the object. Okay. So here the sentence here, the chocolate which I had bought. So here it refers to the object, not the subject. Sorry. For example, the second sentence: we went to the village, which or that Lucy recommended. Here also there is Lucy. Lucy is a noun. So here that or which refers to the object. Is it clear so far, guys?
Yeah.
Great. And we said that defining clause are essential. We cannot omit them because the sentence will be meaningless. You will not understand the meaning of the sentence if we omit or remove this part. Okay. And if you notice here, the girls who, there is no comma before who. Okay, I'm gonna explain this one. And then here we have preposition. Okay, with the preposition, we have whom or that. For example, it is said that in formal English, the preposition is placed before the relative pronoun. For example, the man to whom I spoke. So here there is to and then whom. So in the formal situations, we use to and then the relative pronoun. Okay, and then here, in informal speech, however, it is more usual to move the preposition into the end of the clause. Here, there is the man who or whom I spoke to. So here we have to at the end, unlike informal situations. The man that I spoke to here, I forgot the I. The man that I spoke to, the man I spoke to, the man I spoke to. Here we can remove that. We can remove it because it refers to the object, not the subject. Is it clear? No?
I think it is.
Okay. What about the others? Is it clear so far? Let me check the messages. Okay. Shima, just a second. I will go back to the document. Sorry. Mm-hmm. All right, so D we have possessive using whose, the only possible form. Okay, the film is about a spy whose wife betrays him. So here there is whose, which is possessive. Okay. All right, here, does it refer to the subject or the object? Anyways, other examples for things here. For example, this is the picture which or that caused such a sensation. The stairs which or that lead to the cellar are very slippery. Okay, please. What do you think here in this sentence? Which and that? It is, and then here there is caused, which means that they refer to the subject, not the object, because there is a verb after which and that. Is it clear?
So it's that.
What is it?
So it's that or it's that, not which.
No, in this, listen, in this case, you can use both. You can use either which or that. Both are correct because we refer to things using which or that. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm speaking here about, here it refers to the subject, not the object, because here there is a verb after it. So we are describing the picture. This is the picture. We are speaking about the picture. We are giving information about the picture, and there is a verb after it. So it refers to the subject here. This is the picture which caused. It is the subject that performs the action. All right. Here, the stairs which or that lead to the cellar are very slippery. Okay. So here also there is lead, which is a verb. So the here that the relative pronoun refers to the subject also. Okay. Contrary to this example here, and be the object, the car, which or that I hired. Here there is I, it is pronoun, it's not a verb after which or that. Okay, so here it refers to the object, not the subject. Is it clear so far? No?
Yes,
Yeah, it
miss.
is.
Great. Okay, the car, or here because it is a thing, so you can use which or that. For people, you remember I said you can use who or that. For places, you use relative adverb, which is where, and for time you use when. Okay, we are going to reach that point. All right, here we have object of preposition. The ladder on which I was standing began to slip. Here we have on which, like the examples before. Here we have on preposition and then which. The ladder which I was standing on, we can either put it before the relative pronoun, which is which, or we leave it to the end. Like here, not to the end, but here, like for example, the ladder which I was standing on after the verb. I was standing on began to slip. Yeah, or you can completely omit which. You just say the ladder I was standing on began to slip. Okay, I think it's clear. No,
Yeah,
here,
it's yeah.
yeah, here there is prepositions like to, on, up, etc. These are prepositions. Here there is on before which. Either you put it before or after the verb, like in example 2, the ladder which I was standing on, we shift it to the end. Anyways, and then there is possessive, a house whose walls were made of glass. We always use whose for possessive. And then here we have relative adverbs, when, where, and why. Please, who wants to read the example, the first one? Relative adverbs. I'm out of breath. No one?
Miss.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Relative adverbs: when, where, why. The year when, in which he was born.
Okay.
Should I continue? Okay. The day when, in which they arrived. When can be replaced by on, in which, used for time. The hotel we're in, at which they were staying. Where can
Okay,
be
please, just a second. Just I need to explain. For example, when can be replaced by on or in which. For example, you say the year in which he was born, the day in which they arrived. So you can use in which or when or in which, used for time. Okay. And then here the hotel where or in at which they were staying. So you have possibilities. You either say where or you either say in which or at which they were staying. So here it is said where can be replaced by in or at which, and when, which is used for time, can be replaced by on or in which. Is it okay?
Yes, miss.
Yeah, great. And there is why. For example, you say the reason why I refused is. You give the cause or the reason. Certainly, before moving to non-defining relative clauses. For defining relative clauses, the information given after the relative pronoun is important, and you can move it. You cannot omit the information after it, okay? Because it's essential to the understanding of the sentence. But for non-defining relative clauses, look, who would like to read? Would you like to carry on?
Yes, miss.
Yeah, thank you.
Non-defining relative clauses. Non-defining relative clauses are placed after nouns which are definite already. They do not, therefore, define the noun, but merely add something to it by giving some more details or information about it, which are not essential in the sentence and can be omitted without causing confusion.
Yeah, so I think this definition is already clear. So here, unlike the defining relative clauses, non-defining relative clauses, you can omit them because they will not cause a big difference in the sentence, and they will not cause you to be confused. All right, so they just give or additional information about the sentence or about the person they speak about. All right, so here they are separated from their noun by commas. So to make the difference between defining relative clauses and non-defining, so there is a comma. In non-defining, there is a comma, but in defining, there is the sentence directly. All right, so the pronoun can never be omitted in non-defining relative clause. So the difference is that they are separated from their noun by commas. So in each time you give extra information about the person or the thing you are speaking about, you should use comma. And in each time you speak of essential information, you don't use the comma, or right after who, that, etc. These relative pronouns. They are separated from their noun by commas. The pronoun can never be omitted in non-defining relative clause. Or for example here. Examples, for example, here we are speaking about the subject. My neighbor, who is very pessimistic, there is here a comma before who. There we place the comma before the relative pronoun. Here there is a verb. So as I said, it refers to the subject. We are describing the subject, which is my neighbor. Okay? My neighbor, who is very pessimistic, says there will be no apples this year. Okay, so here we can omit this part and say directly, my neighbor says there will be no apples this year. So you will understand without confusion. Have you understood? No?
Yes, miss.
Yeah, tell me if you have questions. Do you have questions so far? Because it's like the final. Okay, I'm gonna carry on then. All right, so here we have Peter, who had been driving all day. So here this part, who had been driving all day. It's not necessary to the understanding of the sentence. It is just additional information. We give just more details about this person, about Peter. It's not necessary. You can simply say Peter suggested stopping at the next town. Okay? Anyways, there is the difference, the main difference between defining relative clauses and defining is that in no defining relative clause there is a comma before the pronoun, and in defining there is no comma because the sentence is essential. And this part, the sentence, not the sentence, the information given is not essential. Okay, here we have for the object Peter, whom everyone, here there is whom, which is a relative pronoun, and then everyone. Everyone, it is a noun, it is not a verb, so it refers to the object. Peter, whom everyone suspected, turned out to be innocent. Yeah. Mr. Jones, there is, I should write Jones with capital letter. Mr. Jones, for whom I was working, was very generous. So we can, for example, omit this part whom everyone is suspected. We can only say Peter turned out to be innocent. Yeah. Mr. Jones was very generous directly without adding that I was working in his company or for him. Okay. What you should know that this information after the comma is not really necessary to the understanding of the sentence, and you can remove them. All right. This is why we call it non-defining relative clause. For possessive, we use whose. For example, Anne, whose children are at school all day, is trying to get a job. So here the sentence, the main sentence, it is that Anne is trying to get a job. We are not really interested to know that his children are at school all day. Anyway, no defining relative clauses for things. For example, here you have the block which cost $1 million to build has been empty for years. Would you like to show me the main sentence in this part? Where is the main sentence?
That block has been empty for years.
Thank you so much. Okay. What about the second sentence? All right. What about the second sentence? Where is the main part? And which one we can remove?
These books will give you all the information you need. Is the main part, and we can remove which you can get at any bookshops. At any bookshop.
Okay, thank you so much. That's it. So here, the part with the blue, you can remove it because it's not essential. And the one after the comma, which is for the first sentence, has been empty for years. It is essential. It is important, and we cannot remove it. For the second sentence, which you can get at any bookshop here, you can remove this part, okay? Because as I said, there is a comma before the which or the relative pronoun, and it is not necessary to know that. Is it clear so far? Is it clear for defining and non-defining relative clauses?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Just a second. This one is easy. All right, here we have comparative and superlative adjectives. Okay, so we said that for comparing between two things or two people, we have short and long adjectives. What do we use for short adjectives? Who would remind me?
For short adjectives, we add the ER, and if they end with Y, we remove the Y and replace it with IER. And if they're long, we just use more or less.
Okay, thank you so much. And then you don't forget then, because you use then. Okay, for example, bigger than. All right, what about long adjectives?
We use more or less.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, I already mentioned that. Anyways, here comparative adjectives are used to compare two things. They help describe differences between two nouns. So to give or to distinguish between two things, you can use comparison. All right. The sentence structure of comparative adjectives is generally used like the following. So the structure of the comparative sentence is like that. A noun, which is the subject, plus the verb, plus comparative adjective, plus then, plus noun or the object. All right, for example, here, my television is bigger than my computer, because here big, it is short adjective with double G here. And then the book is more expensive. Here it is long adjective. The reason why we used more, we didn't add anything to adjective expensive. All right, this book is more expensive than your novel. For short adjectives, we use no. For short adjectives plus er plus then, and more plus long adjective plus then. Like this is the rule. Here we have some adjectives like happy, happier. As he said, when there is y, we remove the y and replace it by IER, and then and it is the same thing with superlative. For example, when we say happy, when you compare between two people, we say happier than. And when he is like the only, no, it's not the only person, but he is the superior one, or he is the happiest. Yeah. Here the superlative form for the adjective happy, the happiest, and then silly, sillier than, the silliest, young, younger, the youngest, nice, nicer than, the nicest. Here I forgot then. In the fourth, no, in the third adjective, young, younger than. All right. Is it clear, Saf? I think this one is easy.
Yeah, this is the easiest part.
Mm-hmm. And then here for long adjectives, if you have noticed, the first, all right, the first table is is devoted only for short adjectives, and the next one, it is more about long adjectives like modern. We say more modern than, the most modern when we are in the superlative form, useful,
Hello?
Okay, so here we have reduce relative clause. You may remove the relative pronoun and reduce your sentence in certain conditions. All right. So when you say reduce relative clause, means that you are going to omit. What? Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. As I said, you are going to omit the relative pronoun like who, which, etc., and adding and making some changes here. The man who wants to talk to you is waiting for you. So instead, you can omit or make it short or reduce it. You say, the man wanting to talk to you is waiting for you. You add ing. All right. And then, okay. Mhm. In defining clauses, we can omit the relative pronoun in the position of object. For example, here, the boy who, whom, or that you don't like much wants to talk to you. So this is defining clauses. There is no comma before who. Do you remember? In defining relative clauses, there is a comma before the relative pronoun, and in defining there is no comma. So the sentence or yeah, the clause is important. The boy who or whom that you don't like much wants to talk to you. You can directly say, the boy you don't like much wants to talk to you. So you omit that or whom. I think it's easy, this one. Note, in no defining sentences, you neither omit the relative pronoun or use that. Please, who would like to read? Sarah, please read it. No one. Weird. Okay. So we can use participles when reducing the sentence. For example, the present participle plus verb plus ing. We stood on the bridge which connects the two halves of the city. So here, instead of saying which connects, we use directly connected, like the first sentence. And then we use the present participle ing, the ing form, okay? And then the past participle, or being, the past participle, verb 3, or being, and then, for example, here, the boy who was attacked, you say directly attacked. You just leave the past participle without using the verb to be. Is it okay so far?
Yes, please.
Are you sure? Is it okay so far? Because I don't think that you are understanding me. Have you understood what is a reduced clause? Okay. Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. Iman, please scroll up. I can't see. No, not this one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, scroll down then. Mm. Okay, so here here, for example, there is Gina who has lived. What is the tense of has lived? It is the, what is it? Has lived.
Present perfect.
Is it the Yeah, thank you. It is the present perfect. So you can say Gina having lived. Yeah, having lived. Instead of saying who has lived, you say having lived. You remove the relative pronoun. This is the reduced relative clause. So there is no relative pronoun in it. Okay, or saying having lived. It's the same. Okay, it's the same. You just say having lived, and then there is present passive participle, have been, having been. Okay. So here there is who had been disqualified. It is past perfect. Yeah, it is past perfect. And it is in the passive form. Had been disqualified. Who had been, instead of saying this, we say having been disqualified. Is it clear? You just have to revise them. Yeah, scroll down, Amen. The car which is parked, you remove of course which is the relative pronoun, plus is. Directly, the car parked next to mine is very expensive. Hamlet, which was written by, we directly say Hamlet written by Shakespeare. For example, here, students who have enough math and English skills will be admitted. I feel dizzy now. Okay. When the verb have been in position, we can omit the relative pronoun. Okay, for example here, students who have enough math and English skills will be admitted. You can say student with enough. There is no verb here. With enough math, and because here it means possession, who have. So with enough math and English skills will be admitted. People you don't have, what's that? All right. People who don't have their ID cards cannot get in. People without, because here with, because it is possession. Here they don't possess, so without, the opposite. Here there is with, because they have enough math and English skills. Here they don't have, so we say without. People without their ID cards cannot get in. Okay. All right, we can use infinitive too in the cases below, the only two, superlative and the first. Yeah, John is the only person who understands me. Where am I? Yeah, John is the only person to understand me. So instead of saying the only person who, and so we say two, because he is the only person. So in this case is when we have the only, or the first, the last, the second, the next. So you can use it. You can remove the relative pronoun. I use instead to. Tom is the most handsome boy. Here there is a superlative form, as you may see. Tom is the most handsome boy who came to this school. So Tom is the most handsome boy to come to this school. Is it clear so far?
Yes, miss.
Who am I talking to? Is it clear? At least say yes.
Yes.
Okay. Jack is the first student who has handed in the exam. Jack is the first person or student to have handed. Okay. Here you have the first. Here you have the first. So Jack is the first student who has, Jack is the first student who has handed in the exam. Jack is the first person to have handed in the exam. So here you put the verb, here there is has, it is conjugated. Since you put to, you should put the infinitive form, to have handed. Who is speaking? Wow. Put off your mic, please. Have you understood why we put here to have, not because here there is, since there is two, after two we cannot put too late. Okay, after two we cannot conjugate the verb, so we say to have handed. Is it clear for this reduced relative clauses?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have questions? No? Yes?
For me, no.
Okay, so see you, and I don't think I will see you again. Anyways, good luck in your exam. Good luck with your exams. Take care.
Thank you, miss. Goodbye.